a very interesting thing happening in the B2B e-commerce space. B2B e-commerce is a phenomena that started in 2015-16 is when, the first set of companies came into this and started figuring out the same thesis with B2C e-commerce that, hey, traditionally something has been done offline. It's a lot more inefficient. Can we bring it online? Can we aggregate demand? Can we aggregate supply? And can we make a marketplace out of it and then build a large business on top of it? Multiple different companies got into this. ofBusiness, Moglix, Infra.Market are all the 2016-17 batch of startups that came in and said this is an exciting market. Everybody in this space tried to take a different angle, right? So for example, Moglix was focused on consumables. So these are small items that industrial companies, manufacturing companies would need. Those could be gloves and screws and adhesives and whatnot, right? ofBusiness came in, tried a couple of things, but then realized that, hey, the steel market, the core raw materials, right? Steel, paper, chemical, that's where the market is. Infra.Market came in and said, I'm just going to focus on the building materials segment, and building materials are steel, paint, putti, those bricks and blocks and adhesives and tiles and whatnot. I'm going to try and aggregate the demand here. I'm going to try and aggregate the supply here and try and make it more efficient.
Siddharth, I've been hearing some stuff about Infra.Market recently. Are you going to talk about that as well?
I am going to mention it. What is it? Innocent until proven guilty. That's how I like to call it. There have been raids that happened on Infra.Market, and I'll talk about the numbers that are in the news, but that's not the focus of our discussion. The focus of our discussion is going to be about the industry, the new change that's happening in the industry. A traditionally large player is entering this space, this digital B2B e-commerce space, and they're very bullish on it. So building materials specifically is what we're going to be focusing on within B2B e-commerce, because that's what Grasim Industries, which is owned by Aditya Birla, they've decided to enter this market. Let me give you some background on what Grasim really is, right? So Grasim Industries is a large manufacturer. They're already in textiles, chemicals. They have a subsidiary. Ultratech is a Grasim subsidiary that's in cement, putti. They've recently entered paints. They've decided to invest 10,000 crores in the paints business, and people are sort of comparing it to Asian Paints and how they can eat up Asian Paints market share and stuff like that. So that's in their core business, which is manufacturing. They've been in these industries for decades now, and putti specifically has 6,000 distribution outlets, and they're top 3 in the putti segment, which is like a layer before the paint, which is that people are very bullish on the paint as well, the Grasim paints as well, that they'll be able to crack a large market share. But that's not the focus of our discussion today. The focus of our discussion is the B2B e-commerce that's happening in the building materials segment. Now, building materials as a segment is growing 12 to 15% over the last 3 to 5 years, depending on the various numbers that you see. The industry is estimated to be $100 billion industry, and the digital penetration, which is everything that's happening digitally, the digital e-commerce play, is less than 2% or just about 2%, right? So there's a lot of headroom for digital businesses like Infra.Market to actually penetrate this and get a larger chunk of the overall share. Grasim has decided to invest 2,000 crores in building the B2B commerce segment of this business. Infra.Market, by the way, has been funded. They've raised about 3,000 crores, and ofBusiness has raised about 7,000 crores. The reason why I'm not going to focus too much on ofBusiness is focused more on SMEs that are doing manufacturing, SMEs that are in the infrastructure. So people who build bridges and stuff like that. It is, they play in the building material segment. But if you were to compare, Infra.Market is a pure play building material segment. There are a lot of similarities on how they operate.
And we've also done an entire episode with ofBusiness's founder, Ashish Mahotra, right? So if anybody wants to know more about ofBusiness, they can just go listen to the episode. It's actually one of our best episodes ever in terms of downloads.
The way he's articulated how he built this business, and they've iterated, right? So they tried a bunch of things and figured out something that is actually profitable. They've scaled it to thousands of crores in revenue, and they're actually profitable, not, community adjusted EBITDA positive or, all of those made up metrics. They are profitable in the book. So it's a great episode if you want to see how large profitable businesses can be built. But coming back to B2B e-commerce. Now, here's the thesis, right? Before these digital platforms came in, let's say somebody who's trying to build a building, a construction player is building, let's say 10-floor building, residential, commercial, whatever it is. For them to now procure all the raw materials, that could be steel, cement, paint, tiles, whatnot, they had to deal with different vendors. They had to coordinate with different vendors. They had to get quotes from different vendors, and then figure out, okay, I'm going to choose this, and then the classic Indian professionalism problem, where you have to keep following up with them, keep telling them like, hey, I need the material today. The guy is saying no, the material is going to come 10 days later. Have credit terms with different people. So it was a very unorganized process, but that's how the industry operated, and that's how most of the industry still operates. What Infra.Market came in and said that, hey, I'm going to be that one platform where I'm going to aggregate all the supply. So I'm going to get the steel makers, I'm going to get these tile makers, I'm going to get the paint makers on the platform. And I'm also going to try and aggregate demand, in the sense that I will try and get multiple of these construction players. And therefore, I'll be able to build efficiencies in the system, right? I'll be able to get large orders. I'll go to the steel players and say, I'm procuring large amounts of steel. Give me a discount that I can then pass on to my buyers, and therefore capture market from the traditional players. They were able to do it very successfully for the last 3-4 years. They've also been profitable. I'm going to get into their revenue numbers shortly, but they've been profitable. They've built a large business that does about 2,000-3,000 crores in revenue, with about 30 crores in profit. This thesis made sense, because this is what happened in B2C e-commerce of marketplace aggregation. Thankfully, you didn't have to give discounts from your pocket. Like, you didn't have to take the VC money and give discounts from your pocket, which happened in the B2C industry, where like every sale you have to give a discount, you have to do something to lure the customer in the garb of building habits. In this case, the habit building was easy, because this was so much better than the traditional way of doing what they were doing. What Interestingly though, and this is a classic e-commerce playbook, Amazon has done it, Walmart technically has done it. They're not even an e-commerce play, but anybody who gets into the aggregation business eventually does this. What do? They start building their own products, right? You figure out distribution through saying that, hey, I'm a marketplace, I'm going to get you the best prices, the best of everything. And then once you figure out the distribution, you have the data to know what's in demand at what price points, and what are people looking for. And then you go to contract manufacturers and say that, hey, you manufacture for me, it's going to be my brand, I'm going to take that margin that's I'm going to give you cost plus something, but I'll be able to make more margin because it's my brand, right? So that's what Infra.Market started doing. I think that was a key decision making, a key influence in the decision making for Grasim to say, okay, wait, they're entering our industries, right? They entered the putti industry, which is Aditya Birla is top 3 in that, Grasim is top 3 in that. That was them realizing that, wait, they're entering our segments and they control the distribution, right? So whoever controls the distribution is the king at the end of the day. And we will just become a secondary player. If Infra.Market keeps growing, becomes a large player, then they have the power. They can negotiate with us. They can say that, hey, we are not carrying Aditya Birla anymore, we'll go to somebody else. And that made probably, I'm guessing this is what happened, that probably made Grasim realized that, hey, we can do the other thing, right? We can actually build the digital platform. We already have the distribution might. We already have the credibility in the market. We can go to these players and say that, hey, we have a digital platform.
And we have the capital. The one question that leaves in my mind is that one of the reasons why a lot of the traditional players don't get into these markets is because they don't have that digital infrastructure backbone, that Infra.Market and these other players have. Do you think Grasim will be able to recreate whatever it is that Infra.Market created? Or will it be one of those really terrible websites that you go to and you're like, why the hell does this exist?
Yeah, so I was going to address this. From a technology perspective, none of what Infra.Market does, or ofBusiness for that matter, the technology is not rocket science, at least not till now. Why I say that is because it is a simple technology which is bringing two sides of the marketplace together. And if you iterate well, you can keep building newer features. This is not AI. This is not a lot of data science into play. This is building a good technology platform. The talent for that exists in India now, right? Because so many people have been there, done that with different kinds of startups. So the talent for that exists in India now. Will Aditya Birla be able to, shake off its Lala mindset and do something that is actually groundbreaking in for them, at least from a digital platform perspective. That is yet to be seen. But the good thing that they've done is they've built a completely different team for this, which was something that I was actually trying to find out. Because if this was a small unit within their existing business, there is no way those, the Lala culture would have created a platform that can actually be used, which is bug free and all of that. But having a separate digital team, maybe some of the players, some of these people might have worked at Infra.Market or worked at ofBusiness, somebody who's been there, done that. These people can be hired at senior positions to, build that platform. As I said, this is a tech enabled play. Technology is not the core product here. So it's not too difficult to figure that out. The difficult part is three things. Can you build that marketplace, in the sense that can you truly provide the best prices? So can you get the suppliers on board, which will mean in this case, Grasim going to their competitors and saying that, hey, come work on my platform. I don't know how that's going to turn out, right?
So
because
I was going to ask this question, that this is a marketplace in the end of the day, and marketplaces have that cold start problem. Do they have, I was going to ask, do they have all those products in their basket, or will they have to get other products also?
Yeah, so I think the cold start problem is going to be slightly better for them, because they already have a large suite of products that can be supplied, and then it still needs to be augmented with other players, right? That's there's no question that they don't have the full list of products that's needed in the marketplace, but at least less of a cold start problem. What's already happened is Infra.Market has proved this thesis that this works. They've figured out how it works, so it's slightly easier in that sense, that you've already seen how it works and you have to sort of replicate it. So one side is, can you get the marketplace? Can you get the marketplaces in action from a supplier perspective? And then can you truly go to a MSME, convince them to work with you over maybe an MSME or somebody over Infra.Market, or let's say they were doing it traditionally, can you convince them? With Aditya Birla's credibility, the brand name, maybe they can, right? I think they can. Yeah, just to add, some of the products that Infra.Market has already built over the last 2-3 years, which is when they started building out these products. They build the AAC blocks, which is like a substitute to bricks and significantly better in terms of cost and environmental impact. They have the mortar that's used to join the bricks. They build something called synthetic rubber that's used in cement and different kinds of products, wall putty, plaster, tile adhesives, electrical, sanitary wares, tiles. All of these products now, Infra.Market has their own branded products in this. Revenue, I already spoke about. Infra.Market did 1,000 crores in revenue with about 30 crores in profit, and they jumped from 350 crores in FY20, financial year 2020, to 1,000 crores in FY21. They haven't filed the FY22, so that'll be interesting to see. In comparison, because Grasim is obviously a large manufacturer, they do 20,000 crores in revenue. That's what Grasim does in terms of revenue. And very interestingly, Infra.Market also started a subsidiary called Chemical.Market, which is the exact same play for the chemical industry, right? So they're going to the chemical manufacturers and saying that we're going to supply all the raw materials that you need. Basically means 2 years down the line, you will see Infra.Market's or Chemical.Market's products of these core chemicals that are used across industries. One of the things that I do want to mention here, just one last thing, is credit plays a huge role in B2B, like a much important role than pricing. So if you go to a person and say that, hey, I'm going to offer this to you at 100 rupees but give you no credit, versus I'm going to offer this to you at 103 rupees but give you, let's say, 1.5-2 months credit, chances are you're going to be able to sell it at 103 rupees, because everybody needs credit in this industry. Now, Infra.Market, ofBusiness, everybody figured it out early in their journey. They either set up their own NBFCs or they started partnering deep with other NBFCs. What Aditya Birla has going for them is all these entities are already in their house of already in their business house, right? Aditya Birla Capital is already there. They can be the sole or the core partner for the NBFC arm of this digital platform, where you get the loan from Aditya Birla Capital, you get the products from the Grasim digital platform. So they have all the building blocks. Can they go in and actually crack this industry? Because be rest assured, this is an extremely profitable industry. This is not one of those give coupons to get sales kind of industry. Once you get a customer, you can do large billings on one project, and inherently these are profitable transactions. Unit economics are pretty good, at scale, these get even better. So yeah, I see why Grasim entered this industry. I think overall, from a consumer perspective, the business owners in this case, I think this is a great time to be in this space. The sooner you adapt to digital technologies here, the better you will be. You will have a competitive advantage over the others who don't. And I do see the digital penetration increasing from 2 to 5, 10% over the next few years.